The Question, The Deaths of Vic Sage, issue 1. Jeff Lemire writing with Dennis Cowan on the art. And this is, out of continuity, at least as far as I can tell, but most of these Black Label books are.
As far as we can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this plays with The Question, who I'm not that familiar with, right? And Montoya and Charlie throughout 52, but other than that, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with Vic Sage either, but he's a TV personality. He does all this reporting on TV.
He's a pundit,
whilst also being The Question, the PI.
Icebreaker.
Yeah. Because he goes to he goes to like a brothel that's got underage girls in it, and he gets this politician dude, and then later he's on TV and he's like, we've got exclusive footage from this bust, and it's because he took it. Is a question.
Right.
Of this confession, and someone he's involved in is the sister of the mayor, and he's like, hey, this mayor's been into shady shit, he's corruption, he's with the mob, and she doesn't believe it, she defends him, and then she like catches him doing stuff later, beating up this guy for getting caught, and all that. And basically this sets him down a path, because the guy had a ring, and it sets The Question down a path of investigating this ring and what it means. And he goes to see Tot, who's like his guy who builds him stuff and makes his masks and helps him with his research. Gas for the mask, all that.
Yep.
And he basically looks. It's actually a really funny moment where he's like, "How do I even find this thing?" And then he just Googles weird symbol Hub City, and it comes up.
And it comes up because that's weird.
It's like Google's made. I wasn't saying it. It says search engines have taken all the fun out of detective work.
It just says computers, actually.
Or computers.
I appreciate that it was very clearly Google. Like you could see the G and the O.
Not enough to get sued, but we could tell it was Google.
Yeah.
So it's really good. And he ends up finding he goes to the old headquarters of what turns out to be a secret society that's been in the city for a long time. And it's this old abandoned headquarters he goes to, and he finds a pit in the basement which has surrounded by skeletons. And I actually at first thought something was coming out of the pit, but later on it kind of makes it clear that he was just seeing this in his head.
Yep. Visions, but not.
Yeah, it gets very kind of horror-esque and kind of almost, I don't want to say Lovecraftian, but just those weird visions happening, and it's really creepy.
Yep.
And he loses time because there's a great part as he's breaking into this place. It kind of does this sort of same, because it's the same time as he's breaking in. The sister finds the mayor beating up the guy, which happens at the same time as a cop shooting a black kid. Because they all kind of from panel to panel, it's kind of shifting between the three events happening at the same time.
It's a confluence of events.
Yeah, and then when he gets out of the pit area, he comes out and he thinks that it's been a couple of minutes because he doesn't think he's been down there, but he finds out a couple of hours have passed, and Tot's like, hey,
3 hours.
Have you not seen it on TV? Have you not seen that there's rioting because of this shooting with the cops?
We need Vic Sage to calm this down through the TV, and but while he was down there too, he found a mask that kills with a bullet hole in it. And
yes, it was a question mask with a bullet hole. You're right.
Yeah, and so he's all confused. He keeps getting these visions. So the only place he can go is the guy that kind of trained him to bust heads, Richard Dragon, who's in a wheelchair. He gets there, calls him a cripple, and it's like, dang, the Question does not care. And I definitely can see where Moore pulled Rorschach from.
Oh yeah,
yes.
And he wants.
But at the same time, I don't know if this is Lemire doing an homage to Rorschach at the same time. Right, because of
it could be. I would like to think that it's not, because now we have Rorschach so ingrained that we can just do Rorschach, right?
Yeah, I think this is probably just Lemire playing true to, Vic Sage.
But that's what I mean. Is he leaning into it more because of Rorschach, because of Moore?
It's possible.
I'd have to go back and read the Vic Sage stories to tell you that.
Me too. But whatever it is, he's very about the black and white, to the point. And stuff. So he tells, Richard Dragon, I'm having these weird visions. I need to know what's going on. And dude doses him with some type of hallucinogen.
Yeah. So
he literally sends him to another world.
Well, no, I was taking it as because it's called The Deaths of Vic Sage, and I was thinking throughout the book, so far there's no indication, because I thought it was almost going to be like an anthology where he keeps dying in different continuities or something like that.
Yeah.
And it gets to this end, and he finds the mask with the bullet hole, and I'm like, oh, I get it. There's been a previous Vic Sage that's died, right? And it's part of this, the mystery. And so at the end of when he wakes up after he's been dosed with this shit, he's in the old West or whatever it is, and he's got the scarf on with the hat, but he's the Question, and he's kind of confused. So I think this, whatever he's gave him, is basically put him into this memory of a previous Vic Sage. Whether or not he reincarnates or whether or not it's something else, I don't know. But
that's what's interesting. If it wasn't for the title specifying Death of Vic Sage, I would say it's just multiple questions, because a dragon actually says someone else has worn this mask before you. Not necessarily that there was another Vic Sage.
But I still don't necessarily think it is all of them are Vic Sage. I could see the title being more of a not a red herring, but like it's not a literal title. It's not like literally Vic Sage has been dying.
What I know about Lemire is he's very, very invested in human development or starting off one way and then finding yourself becoming a better person. So I see this as, by the end of issue 4 of this, Vic Sage won't necessarily need that black and white philosophy, right? So it'll be the death of his old self becoming someone new, which is so on brand for Lemire. Right?
I don't necessarily think the title is going to be the most literal thing. I think it's going to be more metaphorical.
So I left this towards last because I was like, I kind of don't want to read this. This is a huge book, right? I need more of this right now.
Yeah, Matt, that's not to spoil my top 5, but this was the best book of the week, Matt, so you should have read it.
Yeah. And I went into this going, I don't want to read this. This feels like homework. And then I started and I was like, I gotta get back to work. I started this on a break.
Yeah, the art in this is so suited for the detective tone that it's got. This gritty, scratchy, seedy underworld.
I don't know if you know this, but Dennis Cowan was one of the original artists on the Denny O'Neil book. So this guy does question.
Yeah, but what we should say as well is Bill Sienkiewicz is on the inks here.
Yeah,
and I can feel that in those scratchy, heavy inks. Yeah.
Which I was like, this feels very like Sienkiewicz, and then I was like, oh, duh, because he's doing it.
It's perfect for the subject matter. See when you sneak out of the building with the pit, everything there was absolutely beautiful, and it worked for the moment. And even the gangster stuff with the mayor beating up the guy, and he's like, hey, you're going to stay here, sister, and decide whose side you're really on, kind of thing. Like all that stuff. Like the art was perfect for it.
Yeah. This sent me on a question hole to figure all this stuff out about, like, was this the same one? Because I remember Renee calling him Charlie. In the question, he finds out in the original Denny O'Neil that you find out he wasn't always Victor Sage. He was born Charles Zaz, like Mr. Zaz, and his middle name is Victor. So he ends up creating a new persona for himself.
That name comes up. That name's in the book.
While he's in the pit having his visions, he hears from the mask, kind of like from the rock.
Yeah,
it says, Victor, help me, please, Victor, help me, Charlie.
So yeah, I think this is Charlie. It's just he's not going by that, or maybe he doesn't even know that was his name. Right now.
I don't think he does. Yeah.
He was raised in an orphanage, and that's what. This is all from Wikipedia deep dives.
Yeah,
that his life growing up in Hub City, which is apparently more crime-ridden than Gotham, if you can believe it, led him to create this moral, black and whiteness that he leads by, and that's what the book starts with.
Yeah, it feels gritty. It feels crime riddled. There's F-bombs. There's but it doesn't go too far into it. But it feels like it's a mature book, and it feels like it's doing these things. So. No, I really like this. I wasn't super hyped either, but it's a Jeff Lemire book, and
should have known better.
It was a few pages into it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm super into this.
After Killer Smile, which really let me down, that's what kind of let it there too. But I'm here for this one.
Me and Pete liked Killer Smile a lot more than you did.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to pick this up in collection when it's done.
Sure.
Because I can already tell this is going to be one of those books.
This is
especially in the format.
Is this 104? You said? I think you said.
Yes.
Yeah. That's cool. Yep. So, that's a big great. This is like 4 60-page issues.
It's going to be about 200 odd pages.
And honestly, for the record, for 60 pages, this flew in for me. I did not feel the length in this one.
Well, and that's where I'm reading it, and I was like, I got to be almost done, and I was on page 13, just because of how it was paced. And that's where I was like, because I thought I could fit it in during a break at work. And I was like, I don't want to go to work. I want to read this. So I ended up having to pace it out. But yeah, it was really good. Really enjoyed it.
What are you giving it, Matt?
9.5.
Whoa!
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a straight 9, but I appreciate the 9.5.
Yeah, I'm also on the 9, which again, it's still fantastic, but we seem negative now after that.